The diner clock struck midnight when Jason Miller, a 34-year-old single dad, reached into his nearly empty wallet. Only a crumpled $10 bill remained, money he had saved for his son's school lunch. But across from him, a young woman, in her late 20s, sat trembling, her stomach growling audibly. Without hesitation, Jason slid the bill across the counter. "Order something warm," he whispered. Her eyes filled with tears as if no one had ever shown her kindness before. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. Jason hurried through the cold streets of Denver, his jacket zipped up to his chin, the winter air biting harder than usual. His boots crunched on thin ice as he made his way back to his apartment, a run-down one-bedroom where his 8-year-old son, Luke, slept soundly under a blanket too thin for the season. Jason had just given away the last of his money, but strangely, his chest felt lighter. Morning came fast. Jason stood in front of a cracked mirror, tugging at the knot of his thrift store tie. He brushed down his shirt collar, wrinkled but clean, and whispered to himself, "First impressions, Jason. Don't mess this up." He kissed Luke's forehead, whispering, "Be good at school today. Daddy's going to make things better. Bye." 9. Jason was standing in the gleaming lobby of Carter Enterprises, his nerves rattling like loose change in his pocket. The polished marble floors reflected his worn-out shoes. He was sure everyone could see through him, that he didn't belong. The elevator chimed, open into a sleek boardroom filled with sharp-dressed executives. Jason swallowed hard and stepped inside. But his feet froze when he saw who was at the head of the table. The woman from the diner. Her hair was perfectly styled now, her tailored navy suit hugging her frame like it was made for her. No longer the trembling stranger with empty pockets. She looked every inch the person in command. Her eyes flicked up, widened in recognition, and softened for the briefest second before she masked it. "Everyone," she announced, her voice calm but firm. "Meet your new operations supervisor, Jason Miller." Applause rippled through the room, but Jason's ears roared. Supervisor? He thought he was applying for an entry-level analyst role. He glanced around, trying to speak, but the room spun with shock. After the meeting, she called him aside. Her expression had shifted, part professional, part personal. "My name is Emily Carter," she said. "I'm the CEO here." Jason blinked. "Last night you," she nodded, lips curving into the faintest smile. "Yes, you gave me your last $10. You didn't know who I was, did you?" Jason shook his head slowly. Emily leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper only he could hear. "Good, because that means it was real. You showed me kindness with no agenda, and in this world, that's rarer than gold." Jason's knees nearly buckled. The $10 he thought he had lost had somehow bought him more than a meal. It had bought him a future. Asterisk by Monday lunch. The whispers had teeth. He skipped 5 levels. "Must be somebody's nephew," a voice muttered near the espresso machine. "Or she hired him for a headline," another snickered. "Human interest story, save the PR." Jason Miller pretended not to hear. He set his coffee down, opened his laptop, and dove into the freight data like it was a lifeline. Columns of numbers flickered, demand spikes, idle trucks, missed windows, tiny failures compounding into a storm. If he could find the pattern, he could fix it. If he could fix it, he could keep a promise to his son. Things will get better. Soft tap. "You've been at it since 7. Emily Carter set a second cup beside his first. "Half calf," she added, a ghost of a smile. "I saw the shaking hands yesterday." Jason straightened. "I'm fine." "I didn't ask if you were fine," she said gently. "I asked if you've eaten." He realized he hadn't. I will." Emily glanced at his screen. "Show me what you see." He walked her through the failures. Trucks idling outside. Warehouses because pick lists were printed late. Drivers crossing paths on opposite sides of the city. A third-party carrier charging rush fees for delays the company created by itself. We're bleeding money in $5 cuts, he said. And we're losing people. Morale's underwater. Emily's gaze sharpened. Your fix? Cross-docking, but smarter, he said, heat rising. Turn the south distribution center into a midnight hub for high-velocity SKUs. Pre-stage pallets by microzones. Route by live traffic plus delivery density, not just distance. And this is the key: give drivers authority to swap stops when they see congestion. The plan we run is beaten every day by the world we drive through. Emily arched a brow. You're proposing dynamic rerouting on the fly. That'll scare ops. I know, he said. But nothing changes if nothing changes. She studied him for a beat longer than comfortable. Make the deck, she said. You present Friday. As Emily walked away, a throat cleared behind him. Big talk. Jason turned to find Tyler Briggs, mid-30s, crisp suit, eyes like polished brass. Senior operations manager, until yesterday the heir apparent to Jason's role. I'm not here to step on anyone, Jason said. Funny, Tyler replied. Because my calendar just filled with your meeting invites. He leaned, smiling without warmth. Enjoy the pedestal. Wind's thin up there. Jason kept his voice even. We're on the same side, Tyler. We'll see, Tyler said, and left. At 3 p.m., daycare called. Luke had a fever. Jason's stomach sank. I'll be there in 20, he said, grabbing his coat then. Stopped. Friday's presentation. Tonight's data cleanup. Tomorrow's pilot schedule. The math didn't work. Go, said Ava Johnson from reception, catching his panic like it was audible. I'll print your sign-in for tomorrow. I can't. Your kid's sick, Ava said. Nobody should have to choose. He hesitated, then nodded, gratitude tight in his chest. Thank you. 40 minutes later, he was home, kneeling by the couch, pressing a cool cloth to Luke's forehead. You're burning up, buddy, he whispered. Luke blinked. Did you get the job? I did, Jason said, managing a smile. It's big. Bigger than pizza? Jason laughed softly. Nothing's bigger than pizza. While Luke slept, Jason worked from the coffee table, spreadsheets spread like maps across a battlefield. He wrote notes on junk mail envelopes, sketched routes on the back of a coloring book page, circled choke points with a red crayon. At midnight, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Jason Miller. Do you need children's acetaminophen? Emily's voice. Ava said daycare called. I live 2 blocks from a 24-hour pharmacy. He blinked, surprised. We're okay. I've got some in the cabinet. Call if you don't, she said. She hesitated. You're not alone in this. The line clicked off. Jason stared at the phone, the tiny light of it reflected in the apartment window. Not alone. The words landed like a blanket. Tuesday bled into Wednesday. Jason arrived early, left late, and in between made a quiet inventory of kindnesses. He swapped a shift with Sierra from dispatch so she could see her daughter's school play. He carried boxes for Hank in security because Hank's knee was acting up. He set aside a breakfast sandwich for Ava when she sprinted from the front desk. None of it made him important. It made him human. Tyler watched with a narrowing gaze. By Thursday night, the deck was done, lean, clear, and urgent. Jason rehearsed to an empty conference room, gestures too big, then too small, then his. He pictured the drivers' faces, the lines on their hands. He pictured Luke's, asleep under the Star Wars blanket. He refused to fail them. At 9 p.m., the door cracked open. Tyler slipped in, all smiles. Burning the midnight oil? Just running through it, Jason said. Tyler walked to the laptop. Let me help, he said, and before Jason could answer, Tyler had a USB stick out, sliding it in. I built a forecasting model last quarter. Might plug in nice. Jason leaned, watching the cursor flash. Appreciate it. Tyler's smile stayed pinned. We're a team, right? Right, Jason said. Tyler left with a friendly clap on the shoulder. Jason saved the deck, backed it up to the cloud, and walked out into the Colorado cold. The city lights like constellations underfoot. Asterisk Friday. Boardroom. The air felt colder than the hallway, like success would have to climb to get in. Emily sat at the head, impassive. CFO Meredith Shaw 50, razor sharp, all gray silk, and skepticism flipped a pen between fingers. Senior staff filled the table, including Tyler, near the end, legal pad open. Eyes hooded. Double quotes, Mr. Miller, Meredith said. We're told you have a miracle. No miracles, Jason said, steady. Just a plan we can execute. He began. He showed the bleeding. Idle time, zigzag routes, penalties paid for delays they created. He laid out the fix. Midnight microhub. Pre-staged pallets, density first routing, driver discretion with tight guardrails. He didn't sell it with adjectives. He sold it with math. He hit the slide with the savings, and the numbers were wrong. Column that should have read 3.8% flashed 38%. A projected cost reduction inverted into a spike. A pilot truck count doubled. The room stirred, a low ripple. Meredith's lips thinned. This is creative. Jason's pulse thudded in his ears. He scrolled. Another cell misaligned, a formula broken, a graph skewed. It didn't make sense. He double-checked everything. 3 times. Tyler leaned back, an expression of sympathetic surprise arranged on his face. Tough break. Jason could feel heat rising, anger, humiliation, but he swallowed it. Give me 5 minutes, he said. The workbook's been altered. Meredith's brows lifted. By whom? I don't know, he said, choosing each word. But I'll show you what's true. Emily's eyes were on him, unblinking. Proceed. Jason closed the deck. He opened the cloud backup. Corrupted. He opened the local copy. Also wrong. He exhaled, steadied his hands, and did something he hadn't done in years. He went to the whiteboard. He wrote the assumptions by hand. He pulled raw CSVs straight from the warehouse system, projected them ugly and unformatted. He walked the room row by row, his voice low but certain. He let the numbers narrate themselves. He erased and rewrote. He rebuilt the cost curve with a dry erase marker and a strip of painter's tape Ava found in a supply drawer. He didn't look at Tyler. He didn't look at Meredith's narrowed eyes. He looked only at the truth clearing, gently, like fog lifting off a road. When he finished, the boardroom was quiet. Meredith tapped the cap of her pen. Your whiteboard is better than your slides, she said at last. I don't say that often. Emily turned to her. We pilot tonight. Meredith angled her head. If numbers don't move in 48 hours, we shutter south and cut 37 jobs. Emily nodded once, steel in it. Agreed. Jason's throat tightened. 37 families, he said. They'll move. The meeting dispersed. Chairs scraped, tablets snapped shut. Tyler lingered. That was gutsy, he said, voice low. Whiteboard hero. Shame about the deck. Jason held his gaze. If you altered it, fix it. Tyler smiled, small and mean. Prove it. He left. Emily stepped in. For a second, the CEO armor slipped, and a woman stood there, tired, fierce, human. Was your son okay? She asked. The question pierced him. Fever broke. Good, she said. 2 things. First, security will check computer logs. Second, trust me on this, but not blindly. She looked toward the glass where the warehouse lights glowed below. This isn't charity from me, Jason. It's a bet. I'm betting the company on you. He nodded. I won't let you lose. That night, Jason stood on the loading dock at South Distribution. The air smelled like diesel and cold metal. Trucks idled, headlights cutting cones in the darkness. Drivers gathered around him, men and women in worn jackets. faces creased by early mornings and late nights. "I know change is uncomfortable," he told them, voice carrying over the hum. "But this plan gives you back something we took judgment. If you hit a wall out there, you call it. You have authority to swap stops, to reroute, to win on the ground. We'll have dispatch as your co-pilot. No one's alone." A murmur of assent moved through the group. Hank from security lifted a gloved hand. "We with you, boss," he said. First trucks rolled at 12:03 a.m. Jason watched the taillights vanish, each a thread pulled taut across a sleeping city. He checked his phone. A photo from Ava, a whiteboard snap, lines and numbers, and his messy handwriting. She'd captioned it with one word, "Go." He smiled, then sobered. 48 hours. 37 jobs. A board waiting to be convinced. A rival waiting to celebrate a fall. His phone buzzed again. This time a text from an unsaved number. Unknown. "Check your laptop in the morning. You'll have what you need." He stared at the screen. Something tightened in his chest. Suspicion. Hope, fear all braided together. "Jason, who is this?" 3 dots pulsed, then stopped. No reply. He pocketed the phone, breath fogging in the cold, and kept his eyes on the dark road where his plan was either beginning to work or beginning to fail. Asterisk, the first night of the pilot was brutal. Denver's highways clogged with a late snowstorm, semis jackknifed, and dispatch phones rang nonstop. But Jason refused to leave the dock. He stood shoulder to shoulder with the drivers, checking manifests, reworking stops, calming nerves. By dawn, exhausted and covered in road dust, he knew one thing: the plan worked. Packages hit porches on time, customers signed with relief, and overtime costs plummeted. When Monday's numbers came in, the boardroom filled with tension. CFO Meredith flipped through the sheets, lips pursed. Then she froze. "We cut costs by 14% in 48 hours. Driver satisfaction scores are up. Customer complaints down. This." She looked up at Jason, disbelief softening into respect. "This is real." Emily's eyes lingered on him. "Told you he wasn't a gamble." But across the table, Tyler's jaw clenched. His plan to humiliate Jason had failed, and worse. It had exposed him. Security logs revealed the file tampering, the altered formulas. He denied, deflected, but the evidence was cold steel. By week's end, his desk was empty. That Friday night, Jason returned to his small apartment. Luke rushed into his arms, holding a construction paper card that read in shaky letters, "Best dad in the world." Jason's throat tightened. For the first time in years, he believed it might be true. A knock on the door startled him. Emily stood there, out of place against the peeling paint of the hallway. She held a takeout bag in one hand, and in the other, a smile Jason had never seen in the boardroom. "You gave me your last $10, she said softly. "I came to return the favor. Dinner's on me." Jason stepped aside, letting her in. As Luke chattered excitedly about school, Jason caught Emily's gaze. Gratitude, respect, and something unspoken passed between them. The night that had started with a single act of kindness had rewritten their lives. Jason hadn't just found a job, he had found a future where hope wasn't a luxury anymore.